Welcome to the Snakebite, your home for all things Florida Southern College athletics, where we bring you inside access into the world of moccasin athletics. Here are your hosts, Andrew Polling and George Connolly.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Snakebite. I'm George Connolly.
And I'm Andrew Polling, and here's what the Mocs have been up to. The women's lacrosse team has opened their 2020 season with a 2-2 record, highlighted by their win against the reigning national champions from Adelphi. The team is in the middle of an 8-game homestand, and our own Kenzie Council caught up with head coach Kara Reber to talk about her club's start to the season.
Coach, in your win against Adelphi, your team jumped to an early lead. What were the keys to beating the defending national champs?
I think on the defensive side, our key matchups, and Jill Bemke played phenomenal on their leading playmaker and didn't really provide their offense with a lot of opportunities because of the work she did on the defensive side. Becca Hill also did a great job of shutting down the Division II Player of the Year for the majority of the game. So I think defensively we came out, played a really strong game. Patricia Worker played phenomenal in goal. Being from Long Island herself, she certainly doesn't want Adelphi to win, so she really steps up her game there. And offensively, especially the first half, we moved the ball the way that we were supposed to, the way that we practiced. So they just executed the game plan really well.
You're in the middle of an 8-game homestand, so what are the advantages to being in this lengthy homestand?
Well, I think we don't have to have like the bus legs and be tired from the travel. The comfort of staying in their own bed is nice. Being able to eat the foods that they normally eat, all of that stuff that plays into the game. But certainly it's always nice to be able to play at home on your home field in front of your fans.
The girls play 4 games over spring break, so how do you plan on keeping them hyped and fresh for these games?
Well, I think we just have to work on the recovery right after games. No, it's like every other day that we're playing, so we have to focus on just that one single game and be able to recover afterwards and then change our focus to the next opponent and just do it one game at a time.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, Coach, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
The girls have a busy spring break as they take on Seton Hill on Saturday, Queens on Monday, Wingate on Wednesday, and Regis on Friday.
On the men's side, the Mocs suffered a 5-13 loss against the University of Tampa in a non-conference game to fall to 1-2 on the young season. Their team plays their next 3 games at home as they take on Montevallo on Saturday, St. Rose on Wednesday, and Mount Olive next Sunday at the tail end of spring break.
The baseball team fell to 9-4 on the season after dropping 2 out of their 3 games at the University of Tampa this weekend. Senior left fielder Alan Burnshead continued his torrid start to the season as he leads the conference in home runs with 5, hit by pitches with 7, and a .926 slugging percentage. Senior starter J.J. Necro is tied for the conference lead with 3 wins and sits in second with 24 1/3 innings pitched. The Mocs have a non-conference home game against Minnesota Crookston before continuing their conference schedule this weekend at Barry.
Softball ended their week with a couple of home wins against Western Ontario on Friday as the Mocs outscored their Canadian opponents by 20 runs over the course of the doubleheader. The team heads to Nova Southeastern for a 3-game conference series this weekend before starting a 14-game homestand as the team will play 17 of their next 20 games in March at home. Now, Andrew, let's start with softball here. The offense has really been clicking as of late, so what's been working for this team?
Well, they had a great doubleheader against the team from Canada, and we talk about how their offense is typically that scrappy type of offense that'll get 2-3 runs across the board in a game, and their pitching and defense will win them games. The offense won them those games against Western Ontario, and it was just great to see them put together that 20-run differential in the doubleheader and just see everything click and see what that offense is capable of doing.
Sure, and let's switch gears to baseball. What were your thoughts on that series that they played against Tampa?
The Tampa series was pretty hard fought. Those are going to be 2 of the top 5 teams in the region by the time the regular season is over in the entire South region. So that was a bit of a early postseason preview as a way to look at it. Obviously, we would have liked to come away with 2 out of those 3 wins. Winning the middle game of the series was good, and we're going to see those guys again in the postseason. So that's something to definitely look forward to, and the Mocs are going to use that as a motivating factor for the rest of their conference schedule.
Absolutely, and the Mocs have a non-conference game tonight. It's at 6. What should we expect from that game?
It'll be a chance for us to see some guys that don't get to play on a regular basis. Because it's that midweek game, we're going to see some pitchers that we don't normally see in the weekend series. We're We're going to hopefully see some guys on the offense and defensive end of things, get them some at-bats and some playing time, as this midweek game is a good chance to give some guys an opportunity that we don't see on a very regular basis.
Absolutely. Great insights, Andrew. And let's check in on how the Mocs made out in their senior night basketball matchups. The women fell to Eckerd by a final of 84-75 in a double overtime game. Senior Elsa Lamberg set a career high with 15 points, while fellow senior Kat Kamenko added 14 points of her own in the final regular season home game for the Mocs duo. Julia Janicki once again led the Mocs offense with a 23-point effort, but it was not enough to secure the 200th career coaching victory for head coach Betsy Harris, who will look to reach that milestone in one of the pair of Mocs road games upcoming.
The men, who have jumped into the top 5 national rankings, picked up a convincing 109-75 win in their senior day game against Eckerd. The Mocs dominated in several stats, including a 30-6 advantage on fast break points, while the FSC bench contributed 46 out of their 107 total points. The team wraps up their regular season on the road against Tampa and Palm Beach Atlantic. Now, George, the Mocs play tonight against Tampa. Big rivalry game as the regular season starts to wrap up. What are we looking for out of that?
We're obviously going to look for a very competitive matchup. All of Florida Southern's games have been very competitive, and they've come in with a sense of caring and a sense of urgency to win these big games, especially a game against Tampa. As you said, big rivalry. The Mocs are going to put out the same starting 5 they've put out throughout most of the year, I would assume, and they're just going to play their game, and they're going to start playing in these pressure situations, even if they have to manufacture them, because they need to get ready for the playoffs, as this is a team that could potentially make quite a run.
And as you just said, make quite a run in the playoffs. Playoff basketball starts next week. What are going to be some keys for both the men's and the women's team as far as making a serious playoff run past the conference tournament?
For the women, I think Betsy Harris is looking for this team to really work as one whole unit. There are a lot of younger players in this team who she's given a lot of exposure to, and as we said during the senior night reader, Elsa and Kat Kamenko have been great leaderships, as well as Julia Janicki. So if they can combine that younger leadership, those younger players with the older leadership, that'll be huge for that team. Looking for the men, Coach Donnelly has really stressed throughout the season, and the whole coaching staff for that matter, is taking this one game at a time, not looking far down the road, looking at the opponent you have now, playing that game, and once that game is over, not celebrating, not resting on your laurels, getting back to your next opponent and focusing on that.
Yeah, very well said, George. Conference tournament starts next week for both men's and women's basketball. Now let's check in on track. In men's track news, the Mocs swept the awards in the 1,500-meter event at the UT Track Classic on Friday. Josh Wagner, Alex Guy, Nicholas Carpenter, and William Lynch came in 1st through 4th, respectively. On Saturday, the team competed at Embry-Riddle, and shot putter Matt Fowler broke his school record from earlier in the season with a 12.45-meter throw, good for 6th in the event. On the women's side, Isabella Guerrera set a new school record for the 3,000-meter with a time of 10 minutes and 26.37 seconds. The Mocs had 8 athletes set new personal records in the event and will return to action this Friday for the 2nd UT Tampa Track Classic.
In women's tennis news, the Mocs had a busy week as they picked up their first win of the season, defeating Tampa by a final of 5-2 before being shut out by Nova Southeastern. The team took on Davenport yesterday, and the recap is now up on fscmocs.com. The girls will head to South Carolina for a pair of road matches to start their spring break matchups. On the men's side, the Mocs went 2-0 over the weekend, picking up a win on Friday against the Bobcats from Bates, before beating the Lynn Fighting Knights for the first time since 2007. The number 18 Mocs had gone 17 consecutive matchups against Lynn without recording a victory prior to Saturday's win. In ice hockey's news, the Mocs have their final game of the season this Friday night, and that will be against Eastern Florida State, while beach volleyball opens up their season on Saturday against Erickson and St. John's River. Now, Andrew, what has been your overall impression in this first season from the ice hockey team?
So ice hockey is going to finish their first inaugural season with a record right around 500, and the attendance has been great. The students have been very involved with it, and the facility is state of the art. There's a lot of good positives that you can look at from this team for a new team in an inaugural season. There are so many strong positives to look at looking into next season. They're going to recruit very well over the summer. I'm sure they've been recruiting over the last 9 months since the program started up. And this is a chance for them to really build into a solid all-around team by next season, and they definitely did a lot of things right as far as kicking things off here in 2019-2020.
Absolutely, and taking a look at beach volleyball, they're about to kick off that 3rd season in just a few days. What are you going to expect from that group?
They've got a strong group of returners this year for beach volleyball. Haley Goodrich and Celia Greco, 2 sophomores who had outstanding freshman years. Kayla Treffrin's back for her junior year. This is a team that's been building for 3 years now. They came in 6th in the small college championships last year, and they have a chance to make another strong run for that small college national championship here this year. I think this is the year that they start to put everything together. Obviously, first season is always tough to win. Last year in their 2nd season, they made many big strides towards being a solid program, and this year is the year that I think everything really gets put together for that team.
Absolutely, Andrew. Once again, great insights, and that is all from us this week on the Snakebite. I'm George Connolly.
And I'm Andrew Pauling. We'll be off next week for spring break, but make sure to check out the live streams for all of our home sporting events on fscmocs.com/live.